Alright guys, today we managed to do the impossible. And honestly, I mean, well, I say impossible. You guys said it would be impossible. I actually didn't think it would be that hard. We made top 100 masters with good old Poro decks. So this is an improved version of my Poros list that I've been working on, and I've actually made some changes. This is it's still a very competitive list. It's not joking about that. It hasn't changed at all. And I think we'll actually start seeing people bring it in some kinds of tournament lineups, as well as probably a little bit more ladder representation as well. And I noticed in climbing to top 100, there was an insatiable hunger that was growing inside of me that getting to top 100 just couldn't fulfill, which is why I'm going to be starting tomorrow going for even higher with Poros. This is going to take it all the way to rank 1 because so many of you guys still think this deck is a joke, and I've just got to apparently, and I know for a fact there will be some of you guys that'll be like, Swim, it's just top 100 masters, like the deck could still be bad. I've just got to shut up those people, and I just have to take it all the way. It's that simple. So rank 1 NA in the next couple of days. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that Poros, I wouldn't call it a tier 1 deck. In fact, you might know it doesn't have high ladder stats. It's a very difficult deck to play, and I actually inadvertently listed it on my website as easy difficulty because I've been changing a lot of things about the site in the past few days. But I have recently updated it to being one of the hardest decks to pilot in the game at punishing difficulty. So while we're on the topic, actually, I'll pull it up here. This is the updated site. I actually apologize. It was a little bit out of date for the last like 4 days. The only reason being there have been actually so many changes to the meta. The meta has been changing so rapidly in the last like week and a half. Things have been jumping up and down tiers that it was a little bit much to keep up with. So for the past 4 days, there's been a couple of things out of date, but today we went through on stream and swept through everything. And I don't have the ability to do a full meta video today. That will be probably in a couple of days. But the very, very brief rundown while I'm here is that there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of decks that are posting like tier 1 stats right now. Lee Sin is probably going to be able to be sustainably tier 1. As well as, you know, a lot of different options we have to play between regions. This is literally the healthiest meta we have ever had in Runeterra, bar none. It's absolutely amazing. And if you want any of these updated versions, or, you know, to check out any of the lists, head over to the site, swimstream.com. I keep the site up for you guys and you guys alone. It's not monetized. It's just so you guys can find decks. I'll put it in the pinned comment if you're interested, but the point is, I would probably put Poros as like a tier 2 deck. In fact, I have it here at the bottom of tier 2. It's a really, really difficult deck to play, and it's not a deck that I would recommend to climb with for most players. It's a deck that has one of the most abysmal ladder win rates ever, actually. It's posting ladder stats of something like 47%, which would put it in like very, very low thresholds, right? Like it wouldn't hit most tier lists. But with updated versions, and if you're playing it properly, it's going to do a lot better, which is why I think it's probably going to be more represented in high ladder or tournament. The reason the deck is so good is mostly because of its incredibly flexible nature, the ability to play different matchups completely differently and make sure that you have favorable win conditions into whatever matchup you're playing against. But that's also what makes it so difficult, because you need to know how to mulligan. You need to be like keeping Poro Cannon and Daring Poro in some matchups and hard mulliganing for Aurora Borealis and others. Sometimes, you know, you're just keeping aggressively like Kindly Tavern Keeper and Icefield Archer, as well as, you know, how to play the matchups and how to maximize your odds of your elusive kill. Basically, think of it like an elusive deck that has more of a flexible win condition with outgrind potential from Aurora Borealis or Fabled Poro. Now, let's actually talk about some of the changes I made to the deck, because don't get me wrong, the version I posted earlier was definitely a little bit unrefined. You can see there have been some pretty big changes since then. And I'll be honest, I probably couldn't have gotten to Masters without making some of the changes. So, you know, first things first, Heart of the Fluft. You guys are right. Heart of the Fluft is not good in this deck. Heart of the Fluft was never good in this deck. I was trolling the entire time. Don't run Heart of the Fluft in this deck. It makes literally no sense. You tried telling me. I didn't listen from the start. You were like, Swim, Looks like a cool deck. What are you doing with Heart of the Fluft? You guys were in Twitch chat. You were saying swim. I notice you're literally not playing Heart of the Fluft in any of these matchups. Would you mind cutting it from the deck, please? You guys are right. Heart of the Fluft is no good. It's an easy cut. I have no idea why we were on it for more than... I mean... we were on it for a few days, actually. Mighty Poro also ends up being cut. The problem with Mighty Poro is actually pretty straightforward. The Poro keyword is just not valued in for the price of mana when you're going for it. The idea of that... So in the hands that actually reward the Poro keyword, those are the hands of like Poros Next, Fabled Poro, Aurora Borealis, you're actually 2 mana starved. So getting a 3 mana for the Poro keyword is actually not worth it. And since we're leaning more into the elusive win condition of the deck, the Overwhelm keyword becomes completely useless here. Apart from that, you'll have noticed that I added it back in Poro Herder. Poro Herder's definitely solid. This card was always just like, it was okay. I didn't hate it as much as I hate, you know, some of the other things like Braum, but I did end up cutting it from the list. It ends up being good for a couple of reasons. The biggest of which is when we've cut the Mighty Poro and the Heart of the Fluft, the draws from Poro Herder shoot up like crazy in terms of value, right? You want to be drawing cheaper things with your draw cards. It's a really, really important dynamic in card games. This idea of the balance of cards versus mana. This is one of the reasons why the Rummage nerf hurt so much, because in same with Stalking Shadows, cards that draw you cards really rely on being low mana, because when you have a lot of cards, you need mana to spend them, right? So when you look at something like Rummage, assuming you're mulliganing away stuff like axes, which aren't real cards, you're drawing cards, and when you have less mana, the cards being drawn are worth less. So some plus mana nerfs can be hit even harder on those kinds of cards. And in the same exact way, a card like Poro Herder that's drawing you cards tends to be better when it's drawing you cheap cards to kind of like balance out your curve and your card advantage with your tempo. Not only that, but we can play a little bit more reliably for the elusive win condition when we're drawing Daring Poro at higher odds. And we're also main decking Fury of the North at this point. It's a very, very valuable combat trick. This is effectively, I mean, it's a flexible deck, but we do play for the board. I'd classify it as, you know, mid-range, or elusive's mid-range. And being able to use Fury to own the board, dictate exchanges, keep some of the Poros alive, as well as abuse certain valuable keywords like Lifesteal, or even elusive. The fact that this has the ability to go face, push some elusive damage at the end, is very flexible value. And even though we're running 3 sisters, even though we're running 9 sisters, it's still not enough, and I'm running 2 Furies as well, which is crazy. And you guys know how I feel about 3-ofs. I think 3-ofs are like oftentimes a little overrepresented in deck building, and they often are kind of like a baity mentality. There's a lot of room for 2-ofs and 1-ofs that I see underrepresented, but I would run like 5 3 sisters if I could in this deck. It's just that good here. And I mean, that pretty much covers the changes I've made to the deck. I'm going to be showing you guys the final games that climbed us all the way to top 100 Masters for today. And they were great games. I tried to make sure that I was kind of explaining the thought process behind the actions, because this is like I said, it's a very difficult deck to play. I can't think of a deck harder to play than this deck in the entire game right now, actually. Which I know is going to be memed. Like it sounds like a meme, but I'm dead serious. And I'm not saying hard as in like it's bad so you can't win. I'm saying hard as in like the flexible, the modular nature of the win conditions, and how you have to play the deck very, very, very differently depending on the matchup and depending on the board state even, is extremely difficult. And hopefully, if you're interested in learning the deck, my explanations for the rest of this video as we played through the games today should shed some light on how you have to approach thinking about the different situations, especially the mulligan phase, which is probably the hardest part of this deck. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. This is it. Masters with Poros. This was something that you guys were right about. You guys were absolutely correct. You were telling me to cut Fluft from the first minute. It felt good into some matchups, but overall, it ends up being kind of like worse than the elusive win condition. In the same matchups where like Heart of the Fluft is a good win condition, elusive's are a better win condition, and you can lean into those more by building the deck more towards that direction in more flexible ways. And that's part of the reason why we're running Fury of the North, because Fury is not only a good combat trick for like the mid-range beef strategy, but it can also push lethals with elusive, which is nice. And as soon as Heart of the Fluff gets cut, you'll notice we also cut Mighty Poro, which was also a really important decision, because suddenly Poro Herder just like drawing us more elusives is going to be higher value. Like if it's reliably or semi-reliably getting us into like the Daring Poros at better odds or the Patched Poro bots at better odds, it gets a lot more valuable as a card, because this deck basically wins off of Daring Poro and Patched Poro bot. And so just like changing the deck in that direction ends up being better. Ezreal Karma is really interesting. I like to mulligan really aggressively for Snacks and Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis is really good in this matchup, but you can never kick. Okay, the one thing about mulligans is I can say you always keep Patched Poro bot. I think that's literally the only constant in the mulligan. Period. You always keep Patched Poro bot, no matter what. That's always true. Remember when Heart was a 3 of? Listen, you guys are right. Remember when Heart was a 3 of? Like, I agree. So this is super weird. This one has Tough. The question is, you know, Tough is really good in most matchups. Is it going to be good in this one? The answer is, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's still PnZ, even though he's very controlling and we just want to go for like aggression here. It still will do well into just like putting out little attacks. And it'll even stop lifesteal off of Eye of the Dragon. Just like having Tough just makes them lifesteal for less. I don't want to play Daring Poros until I have like Snacks or Borealis. Another thing that's nice about Poro Herder is it does thin your deck, because like your key cards are basically Snacks and Borealis. I guess, okay. I really need to test something. Does Poro Herder draw from the top of the deck, or does it draw from a random part in the deck? Because I haven't been looking at my top decks after Herder. If I had been tracking them this entire time, it would be pretty clear. Nothing draws from the top now. So that's my assumption. I assume that nothing draws from the top anymore. Like that seems to be the case, but I don't know for sure. Where are my elusives? What's going on here? I should have elusives. Why does this guy have elusives? Are we certain that applied to everything? Because they were kind of inconsistent to begin with. Zap no longer does, nor does Bjerg. I guess I'm assuming that they are consistent in these mechanics, which honestly, given that it's Riot, might be a bad assumption. This is such a weird hand. Oh, this is such a painful hand, dude. So normally in matchups like this, a lot of people make the mistake of playing their Poros before, you know, you're forcing out you're giving value to removal by playing Poros before snacksing, right? In matchups like this, you really want to avoid playing Poros before snacksing. And even though we've gone deep into our deck, we still don't have a single, and we're running 6 snacks, of course, because Aurora Borealis is, well, I mean, we're kind of running 9 if you want to count it that way. I don't even know what to do here. It's really weird. I do need to start putting out pressure, but he will be basically removing everything I go for. I can play like 1 elusive, and I also can't really get good Fabled Poro. This is such a weird position to be in. Like iterating, like his Shadow Assassin might be a good idea here, as weird as that is. I think I might literally iterative his Shadow Assassin. I'll probably do it after this combat though. If Poro Herder drew from the top, it would be a lot better. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Monte Cristo. It's like it's almost certain that it draws from a random position. This is still a good attack. We gotta Get Excited down. Wait, that's kind of sick. Wait, that Get Excited is just down. I guess I'm literally furying. What's going on? He didn't safety block that. I guess that's a fury. I mean, I'm not doing anything else with this mana. That's 5 damage to face, and we get to keep this. Is he gonna will me now? I mean, if he wills me, I'm totally fine. He's spending so many resources on this. Oh god, he's actually thinking about willing this. Holy shit, do it. Yeah. Oh yeah, fuck me. I'll do the Ezreal emote. Maybe that'll get him. You're not actually gonna will this, homie. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, take the 5. Such a weird game. Tasty. Fucking Tasty. Tasty is so good right now, guys. Tasty is nuts. Tasty is crazy. I'll play 1 Daring Poro. I actually kind of value having like at least 1 elusive blocker to make the open attack a little bit weaker. If he Mystic Shots this, I'll probably play a second one, honestly. I also do need to at least enable Fabled Poro. There's another iterative. Dumbest hand I've ever seen. I have literally like every elusive. I don't have a single snacks. And usually this is the kind of hand that is not that uncommon to have on like turn 2 or 3. But like on turn 6, it's a lot less common. Tasty fucks up this meta. Tasty do kind of be fucking up this meta a little bit. But I think I literally Fabled Poro here. It's targeting literally 3 Poros. But I think that's still good. I don't think we're going to get more value out of Fabled Poro than this. I think Fabled Poro is a really misunderstood card. Honestly, most of the reason you're playing it is because of its stat line. Like, the keywords matter so much less than the stat line. Oh, look, a Radiant Poro. Wait, no, that's regen. Skipping this attack? Oh, by all means. All right. And this kind of hand, by the way, is the reason I considered running 1 Vanyip in this deck. And I actually submitted my Fight Night list with 1 Vanyip, which is probably going to like cost me a game, by the way. 'Cause Vanyip isn't good. But in this exact hand state, like Vanyip would like turn a lost game into like a free win. Assuming they don't just remove it with their PnZ tools. Yeah, I guess I'm literally iterating Shadow Assassin. I guess that's what the world's come to. That might have been better to do last turn than playing Fabled Poro first, honestly. Yeah. I need like at least 1 snacks. I don't even need a lot. It can be, I don't need like a big Aurora finisher, and I don't need like multi-snacks, but like a single snacks in a matchup like this is probably necessary. I mean, I want to at least be able to attack with this Daring Poro. The Challenger Poro bot's good too. I think I can just take an override here. Like these herders, you override herders so commonly. How much of a change would it be if Braum was treated as a Poro? I mean, in theory, I would start running Braum in the deck at that point if Braum himself had the Poro keyword, probably. I mean, the sad thing is Braum is so bad, like I'm actually considering not running Braum at that point, but no, at that point he'd have to be good. Copium. You'd just have to be. Wow, this suck. Yuck. Am I challenging Ezreal? Ghost and Ezreal Karma. Nice fucking meme, dude. Like, Ghost and Ez Karma? What's... Excuse me? What? Oh, it was created by Karma? I didn't see that. Yeah, I guess it must have been. Yeah. Sorry. I thought I saw it not say that, but I guess I just missed it. All right. Confirmed it doesn't drop from the top. All right, thanks, Kazuva. So that's a little late. I'm worried this might be too late to matter. I don't know. I honestly think that the funny thing about this kind of matchup is it feels to me, in my head, it feels very favored to the point where this can come down literally this late and I still feel fine. Like I don't feel like I have a problem here. I'm gonna be honest. Like I feel okay. Like what does he do? I drew it so late too. But still, what does he do? Like, actually, like look at what's happening right now. What can he do? Like literally nothing. So I mean, the only thing that matters is like not showing all the Daring Poros, I guess. I mean, even if he like pre-palms any of them, they'll have 3 health. I mean, he'll be able to remove a couple. Anything he removes at slow speed, I'm just like reflooding for sure. And the Challenger is currently effectively an elusive because it's removing an elusive blocker. Singular Will. I mean, he has been getting free Karma spells, you know. I mean, who the fuck knows what he could have at this point, right? He could have anything. I don't know. We might just be a little bit short here. Like iterative. Maybe I should have iterative first. Iterative would have potentially dealt 1 more. I mean, does anything matter apart from maximizing? I can literally iterative to try to deal 1 more. I mean, I'm not bluffing anything with the amount of mana. And if he does anything at slow speed, then I'm re-upping, right? This cost me... Yeah, I'm still re-upping to his slow speed. Yeah, I guess this gives me more of a chance. Sure. I should have done that before, by the way. That's what I was saying. I should have done that instead of playing the 6th one, but I don't think it makes a difference here. I guess there is a universe where I survive this and kill the Ezreal, and then like Tavern Keeper on face like keeps me alive, and I go for a 2nd round. So there is a world where like slow playing this is an option. All right, looks like we're good. But yeah, like I don't know, dude. Matchups like that, Poros has a really hard time losing. Like, We have so many draws to hit a single Snax or Borealis. And if we get it, it's just completely free. Not exact copy, unlike these replies in chat. Yeah, I couldn't use it on the augment one because iterative is not an exact copy. God, it would be so good. Guys, iterative would be so insane if it was an exact copy. Not just in this deck, but like everywhere. Like that would be so abusable. I don't even... Poros is a difficult deck, but it's not just difficult, it's counterintuitive. Like, people aren't just bad at playing it, but they're like... They fundamentally aren't playing it in the right way, right? Like, it's basically an elusive deck. Like, you guys that are saying, like, Swim just created new elusives, like, you're right. It basically is an elusive deck, but it does have a lot of, like, side win cons. The main two win cons are just, like, elusive or just, like, setting up a wall. And, like, setting up a wall with Fabled Poros is actually really devastating in some matchups. Like, against, like, a Zero Aurelia, they literally just can't get through your wall. And that's what makes that matchup so favorable. LeBlanc Sivir is so weird. They might be slow enough. LeBlanc Sivir is faster as a deck these days. They used to be a slower deck. I might not be able to keep Aurora in this matchup. It's still it's a really difficult deck to play, and I don't think anyone's really better at playing this list than me right now, but that's not to say that I'm playing flawlessly. Like, you have to play a lot of spots just really weirdly. And stuff like even like pre-committing Poro Cannon is another like common weird decision. I think I do need to like favor the chip I have. I think I might just discard iterative right now. Because like in this matchup, kindly actually might be important. We'll see though. All right. Poros might be the hardest deck in the game to play currently. Honestly, I can't think of something harder. I think it's definitely harder to play than most of like... I mean, obviously the hard decks are like Karma, Ezreal and stuff. I think they're at least on the same level as Poros though, yeah, for sure. It's a super hard deck to play. I mean, I don't think I need to keep Snax for this attack. Like, we're usually dealing more damage like this. An important thing is also like not using Snax before you have to. Like, sometimes you want to use it to race down. And now that our hand turned out this way, we can kind of start setting up a wall, which means at this point in time, playing for like Poro value is kind of important, so we don't want to make more attacks. But like, now that we have Fabled Poro and the Poro Snax in addition to the Aurora we took in the first place, and he had a really slow start, we're definitely gonna just set up a wall. Like, I have no problem doing that. We don't have any like tricks to combine with Fabled Poro. At this point, actually this is a little bit weird. I'm not even sure what would be best to do here. I'd probably just like Snax and chill. I don't think there's really any like way I could possibly need my mana this turn. But he can't pass here, so I'll just Snax when he attacks. I could kill the LeBlanc with the Challenger. That's maybe makes sense. But we have Kindly Tavern Keeper, and he doesn't really kill us through ways that don't involve our units. So because of that, we can take some damage early, and it's not going to make a difference. I play Mystics and Troll Chance +1, give it all instead of your Three Sisters and Brittle Fury. Three Sisters is an auto 3 of. You have to run 3 of it, period. Fury of the North is definitely my flexible slot, I guess. Like, Fury of the North could be like Mystic. I don't know. I mean, Mystic is nice, and it's a flexible card. I think it's less fitting for this kind of deck, personally. I don't think it plays into both win cons as well. But I could say like one Mystic instead of the second Fury. I don't dislike it. So at this point, we're setting up deeper. I mean, I could just Affectionate Poro and then Fabled Poro on 5 wide board, which is pretty good because that allows me to iterative next turn. I think that's good. I actually don't think I need a second Poro Snax in this matchup. In some matchups that are more board beefy, a second Poro Snax would probably be better. So I might have Aurora this turn. But in this case, I'm just setting up like Fabled into iterative Fabled next turn. And again, this is a matchup in a hand state, not a matchup, a hand state and a board state where we're identifying we just want to go for like the clunky stall out strategy. And like rolling some good keywords here can help a little bit. Like I can just challenge her with this Jubilant Poro now, for example. I mean, he can't pass again. Like I will always burn his mana if he passes here in 100% of known universes. It's the nice thing about Poros. Like, I have the ability to threaten a clock on the game, but I'm not in a hurry to end the game either. This just makes me more flexible. Not a chance. Yep. Seems good. Alright, so yeah, I mean, he can start dragging that. It's not going to make too much of a difference. And yeah, I mean, I'll just play the other Fabled Poro, I think. keeps mana open for freeze this turn. I could do the iterative Fabled Poro first instead. That's a bit more mana efficient long term. I think long term mana efficiency doesn't matter as much. Keeping the freeze open this turn has more of a chance of making a bigger difference, unless I actually want the 4/7 stat line this turn, which I don't think I could need. I don't think there's anything that makes me need that. All right. Yeah, I mean, you can get a free challenge here. Go for it, dude. We got lifesteal on this one. Yeah, I mean, we're just not in a hurry to end the game. And if we set up a wall, his normal strategies of like rallying and shit aren't really going to do anything, right? As LeBlanc is pretty much dying on her attack. It is leveling before it goes, so yeah, I would have to pre-commit something to block the LeBlanc. I guess I could just let LeBlanc live, whatever. I don't think it's really going to matter. The scariest thing LeBlanc can do is copy Incisive, but I don't think that's really going to matter if I have good ownership of the board, right? That's kind of the thing. This one's health matters a lot less. I do wish this LeBlanc wasn't leveling before it was her turn. That would be kind of nice. If there's some way to stop that. I mean, I could pre-freeze, but that's just super vulnerable to basically any counter response. Like, he's even rock hoppered this game, so he has a Shapestone as well. So basically, I just can't block the LeBlanc. I think this block probably makes the most sense. Get a little bit more value out of my lifesteal. I don't think it needs more damage right now. Just block and freeze LeBlanc? Maybe. I mean, I'm just very scared of pre-committing resources is the problem. Like, I'm fine with this. I think freezing that's perfectly fine. Because now his LeBlanc isn't leveled before the attack, which, I mean, I've already committed myself out of a blocker, but that might matter. Yeah, I mean, just like keeping my board up is a massive threat. So we're taking one less damage off the fact that LeBlanc isn't leveling before her own attack. I don't really need to kill her. Keeping our lifesteal unit alive, and not only just alive but healthy. I mean, it's a fucking 3/6 now, and by the time he has another attack, we're literally gonna be like double Poros nexing off of Aurora Borealis. So yeah, I mean, you literally just set up a wall, and they can't really do anything. Like, it's great. There's a snacks if I needed one, right? I think at this point, I mean, I do favor being able to use the snacks as a combat trick. I can use Aurora, go down to 1 on the bank into 8, and that allows me to triple snacks next turn if I don't use iterative. Or I can iterative the Fabled Poro this turn, try to get a little bit more value out of that. It's also a little bit better if he's not open attacking into me. I don't think we need to go wider. I think I literally just want to triple Poro snacks by his next attack. But if I use a Poro snacks this turn, then I actually won't have enough mana to triple Poro snacks by his next attack, because I'll be burning 1 mana and the Aurora +2 won't actually be enough. So if I do want to triple snacks by next turn, I have to play 0 snacks this turn. We've got how much elusive damage? Yeah, we're not really playing for the elusive 1 con. We can play for a little bit of flexibility by just open attacking. And I think I don't really have like a safe trick heavy hand, honestly. But he also has a hard time blocking this out. I think attacking is unnecessarily risky here. So the question is, oh man, so weird. Do I go for the Fabled Poro or the triple snacks? I think just going for another Fabled Poro is probably safer, honestly. I think this is just the safest thing. I don't think there's any reason to take any risks here. Who knows? Maybe this is wrong. Like, tapping myself under some responses like Troll Chance could be a little bit awkward. Open attack for 7 elusive damage. I could have open attacked, taken the elusive damage I had, and then kind of like seen what I do based on what he does. That probably would have been better, honestly. I mean, you just have so many options in this deck. I mean, I guess this scout regen could go into the spider. I don't know if he's even like priced into tricking that, but I do want a 6-wide block, and his spider's like limiting his own attack. So yeah, I think there's no reason to care about what it's doing whatsoever. I'll just like, yeah, play defense. Like, I have good attacks lined up with these, but there's just no reason to take them while I don't have my tricks up, right? Like, they're always going to get more value later, and the pressure's on him to make something happen. Challenge LeBlanc? Why? My Poro is literally worth more. Like, if he has a second LeBlanc, it's not really doing anything. If he has, you know, like any way of keeping it alive, then I'm losing so much value by giving that value, by allowing that thing to work, right? I guess, like, I mean, in the LeBlanc version, he doesn't have as many ways, but he could literally just, like, even like a Whirling Death, I feel, wouldn't really make me happy. And this is really good Fury spot. This is part of the reason why Fury is good in this deck. And it's because we're not in a hurry to end the game usually that I find Battle Fury just kind of worse than Fury of the North. The flexibility to be played in the mid game is worth quite a bit. This is one that's not off of Aurora, so it does actually have a little bit of surprise value. And he's not happy burning my mana here. He can't be. Like, he has to attack. So we pass. This particular game in board state really highlights how the deck maneuvers. It's so odd. This is a really weird deck. Like, I wasn't... It sounds troll to say you have to be a big brain Poro main, but like... But kinda, actually, yeah. A little bit. It's so weird. So now, he's pressured on mana. He doesn't really have good access to a lot of tricks. His Sivir is 20 out of 30, so it's leveling after the LeBlanc goes. And if the Sivir's still alive at that point in time, then it'll give quick attack to these other ones, but that's not going to make too much of a difference. This actually gives me a really good block. And at this point, I don't mind blocking the Poro to like the House Spider, because at this point, he's kind of like throttled for his own tricks. He's only going to have like 1 or 2 tricks here with his mana. Most of that deck's tricks is like stuff like Whirling Death that's a little bit more expensive. So I'll happily go a little bit like block down like this, because he's not going to do anything that gives that +1 in any sort of scary way at all. His Shapestone is enabled, right? Like, I'm not misremembering this game. Yeah, his Shapestone is enabled, which means some of the scarier hands are kind of like the multi-Shapestone hands. We have to be basically deciding like which one we're more comfortable giving up. We want to force him to pre-commit both if possible. I think a standard block like this works fine. I don't think we have to do anything crazy. Like, we have 1 trickery response. If he has a Shapestone, he's killing the tough Spell Shield one that also has Elusive. My Elusive keyword isn't really worth as much right now. I'd actually rather play for the lifesteal regen, which is funny. He'll have to pre-commit to kill them both, and he doesn't have any +2s. I think this block is fine. Can't see a single problem with it. And at the point where he uses, like, you know, plus attack or Whirling Death or Bloody Business, I will just Fury the Sivir and kill her, right? That's the idea. We commit after. You would think Poros is a proactive deck, but it's mostly about mashing past. Yeah, exactly. So that's actually a potentially scary Whirling. If he's like a big brain, he could literally be holding onto a Shapestone. I don't think I can even play around that. Like, it's not even that big of a blowout since he only has enough mana for 1 more trick. Like, that's fine when that happens. I mean, we're still keeping the Fabled Poro alive. Yeah, I think this is good. And like, Shapestone, basically, it's not that big of a deal if he has it at that point. He can only have 1 more trick because he went to 3 mana first. And more importantly, he's basically saying he doesn't have Shapestone. There's too many good Shapestone opportunities here. There's no way he wouldn't pre-commit Shapestone. Even though he's playing around my range, like if he had it, he'd have to play it there. All right. Yeah, I mean, this game is just super over. Like, you can't win this. Not even close to being able to win this, actually. I mean, I can just open attack and lethal him this way. No reason to give him any sort of re-response, right? Yeah, this is probably safest. And of course, there's a lot of you guys that are always like, Swim, what about your scout attack? I mean, you almost never use scout attacks with this deck. I mean, the whole point of open attacks is to not give them a response. The best example of said response would be, you might say, well, scout attack deletes a blocker, so it's the same amount of units. But if he plays a 5 attack unit, then hands of like Bloody Business are actually useful. Instead, we're breaking them out by open attacking. Like, just you very rarely go for scout attacks in this deck. I think even when I have like a scout elusive or a scout challenger, the amount of times I go for scout attacks is like 20% of the time I get scouts, something like that. Oh, the cup is mine. All right, 3 games away from Masters. We have 2 hours before this tournament to hit Masters, guys. 2 hours before this tournament to hit Masters. Can't go to fucking Fight Night as a diamond player, guys. So yeah, I mean, I've seen like Hecarim Noxus memes once or twice. I kind of have no idea what to expect from that deck, honestly. This is a nice hand though for like early tempo. Oh, I mean, if he's not doing anything control-y, like we don't have to bank for snacks. Again, if he's playing stuff like Mystic Shots or stuff like Make It Rains, those kinds of regions, then I usually don't play Lonely Poro early. Usually I want to hold off on that as long as possible. But if it's not those kinds of regions, then I'm really happy just doing this. I mean, so the interesting thing is like his Mistwraith is growing too if it's a Mistwraith deck. I don't think he's comfortable letting it die, and he doesn't really run tricks, so I think I actually just attack with both of them. I don't really see a single reason not to attack with both of these. Also, the Plucky Poro, by the way, is a high roll. Like, he basically shouldn't block this. Ooh, Culling Strike is super good for him here. Huge. Holy shit. This was basically an auto-win game with like 2 Poro snacks and the tough Poro. Like, I don't know how I could have lost that game. Culling Strike actually gives me away, though. Like, it actually answers that. All right. Oh, here's our boy Plucky. Round 2. All right. What you got? I like it more when you cast tournaments than when you play them, because instead of making donkey plays, you can just point out at other players making donkey plays. Yeah. Honestly, don't tell anyone this, but that's why I like it too. Honestly, my attack here feels pretty good. I don't really feel like I'm gonna hurt it in this game. Oh, is that a flock? It's sad. If it's a flock, I actually can't Fury, because it could just be like second flock, but man, I'd love to have Furied that. I wonder what he was even thinking about there. I mean, I guess I'd probably just Tavern Keeper the Poro, in case he is running something like that. And it's probably the best Tavern Keeper I'm getting if I want like a Fearsome blocker to a 3/3. This one's a little weird. We're basically just kind of like slow playing this until our herders draw us into the Daring Poros. We have the 2 snacks, so we should just be winning this. That's a decent chop deck. Plays around some things. A lot of Fearsomes. I mean, I currently have Troll Chant plus Freeze, but I'm never using Freeze on this board, so I don't think that's ever relevant. I guess I could just play this. It is kind of like a Giga Chonker. Like I said, I mean, don't fall into the trap of using this card for keywords. It's literally just a fucking chonker. That's all it is. It chonks. That's its role. Spiders definitely get some in here. It's a little cute. I mean, I already used my healing, so I could be a little bit vulnerable. It might have been Trolly using Tavern Keeper on something other than face. I didn't really realize he was about to use 2 Skitters. I have no idea how his deck is built. Like, it could be like semi-control-y for all I know. But yeah, I mean, this is okay. I mean, what am I losing to? Double Decimate? I mean, if I'm actually literally losing to Double Decimate, then the correct play is to just Fabled Poro right now. I think the only thing I can lose to at this point is literally like burn over the top, so I don't think there's any reason to open attack. Like, Fabled Poro before my attack just makes it a lot scarier, and I still have enough mana for Chant plus Brittle, which I think is fine. I literally can't think of a thing I could lose to, apart from if he's running like burn over the top, so yeah, I mean, I'll just Fabled. You will override Poro Herders a lot with this deck. Get used to it. It's gonna feel weird, but it's how you play the deck. And we have Troll Chance and Brittle Steel to protect our lifesteal 1, so we're not losing this deck to anything at this point. We don't even need to go in for the lifesteal 1 right now. This is actually a rare opportunity where I think there's no downside to Scout attacking. Like, we've already given him the action and he declined it, and we have like tricks that this will stay alive no matter what. I can't think of a downside to Scout attacking here. Look at this, the rare Scout attack. Nice. Poggers. Oh. So the question is, which is better to use here, Troll Chant or Brittle Steel? It kind of has to be Troll Chant, because Brittle Steel is just kind of too useful on these anyway. That's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, it's Brittle. You're right. I'm trolling. You guys are correct. I'm sorry. Just ignore me. That's obviously Brittle. What? Second culling? Looks like a second culling off the top. I mean, go for it, dude. It can't matter at this point. We can't lose the game. I will say, don't get me wrong. The initial version I posted was definitely at least a little bit trolly. Like, you guys are right. Heart of the Fluffed was bad. And there are a couple reasons why cutting the Poro Herder was a little too edgy. You got me. You're right. You're correct. But this deck slaps, dude. Like, how you gonna say this deck don't slap? There's no way. This deck's crazy. Not stunning the lifesteal one? Well, he just doesn't have a burn over the top hand. The only reason we rolled lifesteal is because the only hands we could, I don't even know his deck, but the only hands we could possibly lose to are the burn over the top hands. And so, I mean, we just play around those, right? It's that easy. Whee. I won against this deck every time my opponent played Fluffed. I mean, I put Fluffed in the deck And I think people literally just like play it without thinking. Like, don't get me wrong, Fluffed ended up being improper, but even when it was in the deck, like, it's just something you use very uncommonly in specific matchups. And I think people just like jammed it for some reason, which is kind of weird, honestly. So yeah, I mean, Ekram here is fine. Go for it. I guess I can just entomb that now. It's, I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. Okay. This is it. Here we go. We're at 60 LP. We have literally 2 more wins. This is so easy. 2 more wins, and we have 2 hours to get 2 net wins by the time the tournament starts. I will not show up to this tournament as a diamond player, guys. That's just embarrassing. That's just cringe. I'll give you that. I have never seen Three Sisters be this good in any deck. It's the perfect mid-range pressure deck for the card. Yes, that's exactly right. The Duke of Prunes. Hard agree. This is the best deck that for Three Sisters that has ever existed. Like that's indisputable. I mean, I'm not, when I say best deck, I don't mean most powerful, just the most fitting deck for Three Sisters as a card. I would literally run like 5 Three Sisters in this deck if I could. I'm not even joking. It's so bizarre how good that card is in this deck for a lot of reasons. All right. Oh, burn. He's attacking on 2. I mean, I probably am supposed to keep Archer and Tavern Keeper. I did kind of put them in this deck for this matchup. I'm supposed to just keep them. Ugh. Also, Mighty Poro was holding this deck back a lot. Mighty Poro was shit. Like, low-key, this deck also got a lot better when we cut Mighty Poro. That might have been the bigger thing, honestly. That's a good start. I mean, he could even attack with the frozen one, because, like, I have a hard time. Oh, no. The good thing I have Tavern. So, his play of attacking with the frozen one is basically, like, really aggressive. But against the Tavern Keeper hand, I kind of like it. Like, I think just, like, forcing the double exchange is probably going to be worth more for me in long term. Yeah, this hand is great. All right, I can't believe people were running Braum in this deck. All right, at the very least, as bad as Heart of the Fluffed might have been, at least it was better than Braum. And I can't attack here because of Make It Rain. But would any pirate player that had 2 butchers in hand and a Make It Rain, would they ever? No, they couldn't. He can't have Make It Rain. So I actually do get a free attack. Like, he would have had to have been able to butcher there and killed my Icefield Archer. Dude, that's a sick hand, man. I swear to God, if we actually lose to this hand, I mean, homie, you have to open. That's, Mister, your open attack. What are you doing? This is so weird. I can't even really punish that hard, because like using iterative on like Tavern Keeper later is also just really good. Can I just Poro hurt her? I think I literally just Poro hurt her. Like, I'll just iterative Tavern Keeper later, whatever. Whee! 2 mana 2/3 coming in hot. And I think I Troll Chain here just to save maximum, because I also actually blocking the Crackshot Corsair doesn't save maximum. I mean, this is kind of the pretty much the only Troll Chant I could be getting, right? I have to save a little bit of Nexus Health with Troll Chant, which means I should block in a way that allows an additional unit to survive. That's a little weird. I mean, I guess I can just keep one of these things at a higher point of health. Just have a 3/3 instead of a... I mean, I guess that's worth it. Wait, out of Fervor? I mean, the one I'm giving health to doesn't matter, so the Fervor doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess I just do this. Like, using Troll Chant to save 2 health is fine. And yeah, I mean, if he has a Fervor now, then my Tavern Keeper, you know, he'll be able to get under that. But honestly, the Fervor hands are the ones I'm best against here, right? Like, I want him to have Fervor. It's like, at this point, he literally is on a 0-card hands. We own the board really hard, and we have another Tavern Keeper with our iterative. So I don't think we're losing this. Like, that's perfect. And I mean, I can even start putting out some amount of pressure on him. I don't think there's really a reason to like slow play that Tavern Keeper. Sometimes like it can be beneficial to make them think you don't have it so that they commit to a certain line, but he's out of resources, so there's nothing he's committing to. And I mean, the fact that he didn't hit the 3-3 gives it an attack. Yeah, he just drew like the all 1-drops hand. And we had the hand that beats the all 1-drops hand by keeping Iceveil and Tavern. Sometimes you actually do need like value against them. Sometimes Pirates has a slower hand and you need value and you need like, you don't need snacks, but snacks definitely feels very good. I mean, this is the challenger one, right? So we save maximum by doing this. I mean, I guess I'm brittle stealing here. Just to... I mean, are we killing him on like the next attack actually? So weird. What is happening? I like maximizing the odds in this game is so bizarre at this point. I don't think this really has any ability to matter. But I mean, just for the sake of, yeah, making sure that we're like still making the proper plays, this probably maximizes our odds. To be able to like decide whether something is maximizing your odds, it's a matter of like what hands it beats versus what hands it doesn't. And I guess the problem here is I can't really think of something I lose to right now. All right. Feels pretty good. Hello, Zap. I mean, Zap is certainly one of the better things for him to have drawn. I hope that's not a make it rain for his sake. It'd be really awkward if it was. This one has fearsome. Okay. All right. So, I mean, anything that stops him from losing the game on the spot right now isn't stuff that pressures us for next turn, right? That's why we feel good here. Like, he probably has to literally fervor into face right now just to hope he top decks lethal, but when he fervors into face, or Poros Snacks is just lethal. And Make It Rain does the same thing. Alright. That was a bit of a weird game, but again, that's obviously against Burn, we're playing for that win condition. Burn is the one matchup where I wouldn't keep a double Poros Snacks hand, I think. As sad as that is. I would keep a single Poros Snacks hand against Burn, but not double. It's so sad. Every other matchup, I'll keep double Poros Snacks. Alright, one more game. This is literally the easiest climb to Masters of my career. This is so much faster than climbing with any other deck, guys. Why is Braum bad in this deck? Braum is... So, I do want to make one thing clear. Braum is literally, like, unbelievably, just ridiculously bad in this deck. Like, beyond terrible. Most of that is just because Braum is a bad card. It's basically the same reason that Braum is bad in every other deck. I mean, we're not even running all the Poro keywords. We're not running Mighty Poro. And Braum is literally like a 4-mana Mighty Poro that comes on the board a turn later. Braum is like very literally a do nothing. It's crazy how bad Braum is. He's literally like Vi if Vi was just permanently frostbitten. Like, all right, Lee Sin, final boss Lee Sin. Let's go, guys. You guys think I can't fucking take down Lee Sin? Not a chance. Not a goddamn chance. Okay, against Lee Sin, sometimes you do need like an Iceveil Archer, because oftentimes they are developing into you on the early draws, and I don't have to mulligan as aggressively here since I have hits. And if I draw a second freeze, then I can use it as a discard for the Poro Cannon anyway, potentially. Okay, I'm never using both Troll Chants here. Even if I didn't have second Troll Chant, I probably would have discarded the first Troll Chant. Alright, so he's at 13 health 2 turns from now. That feels good. No Zoe, so he's at 13 health. Wait, sorry, I miscounted my amount of Daring Poros I have in my hand. I just kind of assumed, like, wait, my math was off. I assumed we had a third one. Hang on, let me just draw another elusive real quick, huh? Oh. How about two more? How about another Poro Cannon for the road? It's kind of an elusive. Sort of an elusive. That's not great. That's definitely not amazing. I mean, the Eye of the Dragon's health basically can't matter. Same with Lonely Poros health. So I will open attack here. Alright. I have a decent hand, but I am gonna need like one more elusive Poro. Zoe top deck, by the way, is why we opened attacked. Like, playing Lonely Poro there isn't worth it, because if Zoe top deck comes out, I don't want to be punished by Zoe plus Pale Cascade. Would have been super awkward if he had Pale in his hand too. I don't think I have to Fabled next turn, so there's no reason to spend my mana here. A lot of times you have to literally spend your unit mana aggressively so that you can do stuff like Fabled on curve or open yourself up to patched Porobot curves. Knowing when to bank and when to spend is also really tricky with this deck. That's some bullshit. Alright. Our hand is officially not amazing in this matchup, I think. At this point, if he's getting 2 Dragonlings, I do kind of want to leave myself open to Fabled. I don't think there's anything that would cause him to develop here. But, I mean, if he does, I can sometimes stop a little bit of damage. This is a good top deck at least, but we're really not putting him on much of a clock. And this I have the Dragon card is pretty good. What's up with that? I mean, I can stop 4 damage and deal 2 to him just by using Troll Chant right now. There's one problem with that, which is that in this matchup, I can buy an extra turn off of Lee Sin if I just save Troll Chant for later. Also, if I Troll Chant right now and he Twin Disciplines and kills my elusive, then I'm very sad. I might need my elusive. So I basically just have to be okay taking some damage. Against Lee Sin, sometimes you don't want to let yourself take... God, why is he at 19? What a piece of shit deck, dude. I can't beat this deck. It's too good. Alright. Targon. Hopefully he's not running the fucking, the Tasty Feyfolk version. That'd be nice. Fucking Yang. Lee Sin Gatekeeper. That's a solid draw. That's probably the top draw at this point. I'll take it. Okay. So, this is pretty good all of a sudden. This I feel a lot more fine with. We want to make sure... So, okay, the question is, do we Aurora this turn? If we Aurora this turn, then we can stack, so we can develop some Poros, or I can Fabled Poro this turn. It's actually a little weird. Again, keep in mind, most of the keywords we're getting aren't really doing anything unless we roll elusive on one of these 3, in which case it's kind of nice. But Aurora doesn't really add damage to this attack. We're burning 1 total mana if we don't Aurora this turn, and I think I want to save Fabled for next turn for value. So I think I'd probably just open attack with just the 2 elusives. Like, we want to use Aurora before Fabled. I think that's one of the more counterintuitive things to most people. People are, like, in a hurry to get their keywords and shit. But the keywords kind of don't matter. A Challenger. Yeah, Challenger also would have been good there, because it also would have been, like, a pseudo elusive, because he has an elusive blocker. But I want to play on curve. I want to make sure I'm getting, like, Fabled and snacks next turn. Like, this deck being mana efficient is actually so important, it's kind of weird. Like, the fact that Fabled Poro would cause me to burn 1 mana is a large part of the reason why I don't like it there. This deck is so starved for mana, which is part of the reason I don't like Time Trick. Plunder Poro is super sweet here. I mean, it's important not to get baited by Plunder Poro. There's a lot of situations where you have to develop it before you attack. If you just want to use it as a unit, then use it as a unit. But I mean, I'll go for some free keywords here. I don't think that taps me under anything like super important. So his Lee Sin isn't leveled yet. It'll level up next attack. That's interesting. Hello, Lee Sin. So he needs basically Sonic Wave here to feel good. I mean, if I'm snacksing, I'm not using Fury of the North. If he doesn't have Sonic Wave, that Lee Sin was just a bad play on this turn. So he pretty much has to have Sonic Wave. I can keep Troll Chant up just to save one of the Poros, because he'll almost certainly just threaten one of the Poros. I think I just start with the snacks, basically. And if he passes, I will almost certainly have to burn mana and pass back. If he passes, it's actually very, very easy that he just wants me to use the second Troll Chant so that I don't have access to Troll Chant. Or sorry, use the second Poro Snack so that I don't have access to Troll Chant. And this has to be a mana that I'm okay burning if he does that. It has to be. Attacking with Lee Sin. I mean, he's just getting rid of the Sonic Wave ready, right? Whoa, this is such... What's going on here? This is so weird. I mean, there are actually some hands that could... Now, that doesn't make any sense. You basically can't attack with most of those units, dude. If he passes, slam that pass button. Then if he passes and I pass back, he's not getting the Dragonlings, right? Like, if he's trying to, like, do a Sonic Wave play, and he stops the Dragonlings from coming out by... Like, if I stop the Dragonlings from coming out, then I'm basically allowing my land units to get some pretty annoying attacks in, which I like. I like annoying attacks. And this has to be the fastest pass of my life. Like, this is so free. Yeah, that was a pretty slow, fast pass. And now I'm just Fabled Poroing. I have enough mana. We have to count our mana. So if we use a Poros next, then we tap under everything except for Troll Chant, which is like a little awkward. But this one has, yeah, I mean, I still have to Fabled Poro here. Like, one good keyword makes this nuts. And using this for Fury is also kind of trolly anyway, because we kind of need to use it to not die to his Lee Sin. Alright, so this one has Challenger, Overwhelm, and Fury. Or sorry, Scout, Overwhelm, and Fury, which is pretty funny. Our Poro Flight got Elusive. You kind of have to hover to see Elusive sometimes, because it's kind of hard to see if they also have, like, Spell Shield. Alright, and we got Challenger on Fabled, which Challenger on Fabled is kind of reliably nuts. So, I mean, looks good to me. We almost straight up have lethal, like, right now. And we can always stop the Lee Sin for one turn, no matter what. He can't kill us next turn. We have a popper for Bastion, which is part of the reason why Troll Chance is kind of important to keep in this matchup. So the question is, do I do like a weird scout attack? Now his Lee Sin is just gonna like barrier block it anyway. And I don't think I don't think threatening his Lee Sin matters, like even if I could kill it, because we're not really playing to kill the Lee Sin. We're just playing to kill him in 2 turns. Also, threatening the Eye of the Dragon actually matters a bit. Oh, this I'm perfectly fine with. Okay, so he's actually just trying to shut down this single attack, and he's slowing himself down a lot to that. That's really interesting. This one I might just override. Like, I mean, I have too many units anyway. And I think I want to tax his land units. Like, if I force him to block down with Eye of the Dragons, we're good. I'm not, like, a second Palm doesn't punish that. I don't mind giving him another development. And I'm not under any mana points by doing this. So I'll absolutely just override this. And that override is always going to seem a little weird because it's like a blocker. And at this point, I think I just play my Daring Poro. I mean, land units are basically forcing the Eye of the Dragon to block. But at this point, if I'm overriding, I actually only have 1 land unit anyway. So I don't think there's anything stopping me from just using the Daring Poro now. Like, am I ever running out of elusives? That could be the one thing that could make a difference if, like, sometimes I run out of elusives. But I don't think so here. And again, we're not under any mana points. This deck has to override units a lot. And it's weird, but you have so much value that and the board gets clogged and they can't attack. These little units are often not doing anything. It's lethal if you drag Zoe. Guys, this isn't lethal. Like, so obviously it threatens lethal, but the amount of hands you're beating by pre-developing this Daring Poro into a lethal threat here is very small. I mean, basically, Hush, Palm, Will, any hand that don't have those, but any hand that don't have those isn't beating us anyway, right? So there's no, like, lethal shouldn't really be part of the argument. The big factor is, like, could this game play out in a way where... And I will just drag that. Oh, I mean, I'll pre-commit this. Could this game play out in a way where this ends up mattering, basically? Like losing the extra land unit. And that's, yeah, I mean, my hand could be actually a little bit starved. You know, he stops this. He kicks an elusive next turn, and he, like, stuns another elusive 2 turns from now. And in that kind of hand, like, if I run out of land and I don't top deck more Poros, that could play out in a way, but this probably too niche. That's a really, really specific sequence of events. So he's just deciding how he wants to stop this lethal here. It's just like Palm, Hush, or Will. I mean, we're just good. Attack with a 4/4. This one has no reason to attack. It's just dying for no reason. That's an easy Hush. He hushes the lifesteal one. But we have very good protection against this Lee. And he can't kill enough of our elusives. So I don't feel too bad. Like, he's going to heal a little bit more with Dragonlings, but that has to be fine. I think we're good. I think this deck dumpsters Lee Sin, by the way. So Poros has some really weird matchup tables, like extremely unique matchup tables. I'm very favored into Lee Sin from my experience. I'm very favored into Aurelia Azir. I'm very favored into, like, control decks like PnZ, pretty much any form of PnZ that's not aggro. And we're vulnerable to, like, early pressure decks that would be like Zed Sivir style decks. I think Sivir LeBlanc is slow enough that that one feels totally fine. Please don't jinx it. Nah, this is unjinxable, dude. Look at us. Top decking another elusive. Literally unlosable. Literally can't lose this. I don't even need to freeze the guy, the Lee Sin. I can freeze him after he attacks. I don't even need to play the Icefell Archer. How crazy is that? It's ridiculous. GG go next. Yeah, I mean, what does he actually do? Again, I'm just making sure I'm not, like, being a donkey and losing to anything. I guess I'll force him to pre-commit one, since he's just trying to kick an elusive off this board, right? And I don't think I can need that mana. Save your donkey plays for the tournament. You should have frozen lifesteal with Icefell. Ooh, that's interesting. You actually might have been right. That's an interesting line. Because like, yeah, if he like does a chain guiding touch and survives one more attack, that could be a lose condition. Lee kicks with 0 attack now. Oh yeah, they did change that, huh? I mean, it doesn't matter since we knew he was leveling before the attack anyway. There could be something weird here. It's not impossible. All right, he's dragging the spell shield one, and I mean he'll need to basically pre-commit twin to make that make sense at all. Just entomb this idiot? Well, I would do it after he taps under deny, but I'm probably not entombing. Oh, he actually is pretty much under deny. Well, I guess I can just entomb him. I mean, I think he's basically forced to make this play. Like, he will, to even threaten this Porofly, he'll need to spend more mana, and at that point I will just entomb him. Like, there's nothing that punishes entomb anymore. He'll be under deny and bastion ranges. Which is fine. I mean, the Icefell Archer does kind of cost us the Troll Chant mana, so technically he's healing a little bit more than we needed to let him. Denying the healing honestly might be a bigger deal, as weird as that is. Like, as fun as entombing the Lee Sin is, my only lose condition is like letting this go another turn, and he's not even threatening this elusive. I think I gain more value, but he's floating the Resonating Strike, which means if I don't just let this through, he'll just Resonating Strike after this anyway. So I guess this is a free let through. I mean, I have enough elusives and we can still survive Lee Sin for one more attack. This looks perfectly fine to me. The fact that he floated the Resonating Strike in his hand is basically what made it so that there's just no reason to commit here. I mean, I've got more Poros. And I think, I mean, Poro Herder can delete a bit of an out. Nah, that never makes a difference. Sure, I'll Poro Herder here. Oh, hello! I mean, and if for some reason I want to, we can threaten lethal next turn with these Fury of the North, right? Like, that's always an option. I don't think there's even any reason to do that whatsoever. Because we can always survive his next attack with our 3 sisters, no matter what. But this game's over. Fabled. I think we're open attacking. I guess I could Fabled. I guess there's no downside to Fableding. I mean, he literally can't punish a development here, right? And I could roll another elusive, I guess. I don't know. Sure, I guess I can Fabled. Fabled is funny. Fabled is funny. So I guess we just start by doing this. This is this is really weird. But I mean, we're not gonna need this mana. Alright, so now I'm probably not using Fabled, guys. Zoe. So Zoe can't punish development. Palm. He can use Palm on the attack and it doesn't punish development anymore. Right? So now I don't have to Fable since we have the last elusive anyway. And Zoe can't punish development because we have a challenger here that he doesn't have any way to uniquely stop, so elusive blocker is the same as anything else. And I have not enough mana for both Furies, but let's be honest. Like, what is he gonna do here? Alright. Yeah, I don't think you're any good here, Yang. My friend. I do not think so. This guy's literally just looking at this board. He's taking a screenshot right now and posting it to reddit.com/r/Legends of Runeterra. Like, he's not even thinking about his play. He's literally just looking at this board and he's just like, why? Oh, Zenith Blade. Wait, that's sick. The god. I mean, is he blocking 2 of them? I don't think there's any way he can survive this turn by stopping 2. Pretty sure. I guess I'll just drag this one. Alright. GG! Somewhere Nick is rocking back and forth in his chair mumbling, Lee beats Poros, Lee beats Poros. I mean, I understand why on ladder win rate Poros is bad against Lee, because people aren't like understanding like the forking win conditions of this deck, but this deck dumpsters Lee. I've lost one time against Lee Sin. GG gang. And that's it. It's actually just that easy. All right. Masters with Poros. You guys said this would be hard. This is not a bad deck. Like, all right, straight up, I wouldn't call it tier 1, and that's why I never called it tier 1, but it's a very solid competitive deck. It's super good. I think like at a reasonable level of play, it's super solid tier 2. Absolutely. It's a great deck. It's good into it has some polarizing matchup tables for sure. It'll be really good in some kinds of tournament metas. I think like if tournament players like figure out exactly like how to play this kind of play style, I think a lot of players will start bringing it into some tournaments. Again, it's not literally going to be the next Aurelia Azir, but it's a very good deck. And especially at this version, it's a lot better. I mean, okay, let's be real. I was trolling. You guys are right. I might have trolled a little bit with some of the earlier deck building decisions, but it's very refined at this point, and it's an easy deck.